Hey traders, welcome back to another market update. Today we're taking a look at the currency market and seeing what's moving in terms of technical analysis. Let's dive into EURUSD, which is interesting right now because look at this trend line that looks like it wants to break. Well, it already has broken, but it looks like it wants to continue to break down. You can see that this support zone has been holding very nicely historically, but we actually just recently broke through that level. You can see we retested this trend line that was above, and now we're seeing some follow through. Now, to me, the big obvious area that price may want to head to is this area right here, which is right around the 1.1 level. Right on the dot there, I think price could make its way down to that point. It would not be surprising to me to see some sort of a bounce off of that area. But if the overall downtrend continues, to me, what would make sense is an overall move down to the recent long-term structure low right down here. To me, that would this break on EURUSD is very bearish, and I think that we have room to run, room to continue to the downside, and that this long-term low definitely wants to get retouched. That would be my opinion there. We'll see if that analysis can actually play out. Let's take a look at pound dollar, see what's going on with this pair. Really interesting stuff going on with pound dollar right now. You can see our levels that we've drawn are still in play, right? So we've drawn this level, we've drawn, of course, the recent structure lows, we drew the resistance, and all of it's still playing out very nicely. You can see price actually came up and tagged that level almost perfectly before reversing, just as we had talked about that being a potential resistance. Now the big thing is we're reversing and we're retesting this area of structure. This is going to be interesting because if price holds bullishly here, that could lead to a breakout and continuation, which would continue this upward trend that we do see. What's interesting is we could probably draw a fib here. If we drew from low to high there, you can see we're right hovering around the 38.2% retracement, which also lines up nicely with this zone of support. So to me, this is mostly a bullish area in my opinion. We will see if that can play out. We did just come up and tag this level of resistance, so we'll see if we can if price wants to start shooting back up to the upside. And if so, can we get the breakout to continue maybe up to a level like this one, which is 1.3265, let's say. We'll see what we get there on GBPUSD going forward. Dollar yen here kind of pulling back this morning. You can see that we are pulling back into this area here, right? And really going to be testing to see, can this level hold as a support zone, or are we going to break down and continue lower? We'll see what we ultimately get, but my bias here is bullish on dollar yen as well, because I think that what we have is this retest of structure in a market that's moving mostly to the upside pretty strong. Gold is the next pair here, and what you can see is that for the most part, still ranging on this pair. Not too much to say other than we are just kind of chopping back and forth. If we are going to be respecting this range, I would say that this area should hold as resistance. And of course, if we see some sort of big break to the upside, there might be the room for continuation to the upside and trading long due to the fact that, again, we are on that very, very strong uptrend market. However, I would be careful just because personally, I think that price looks a bit stretched overall and that we could see a pullback, maybe to a big structure level like something like this area here. So we'll see how that plays out there on gold. Brent crude is really interesting right now. Our technical analysis on this pair actually looking really clean, right? So we had this trend line, and we talked about the idea that if price decides to break through this trend line, that we could see a continuation down to this black line that I left on here from last time. You can see price making its way now down through that area and looking like it wants to retest this area of support down here. But what's even more interesting is WTI crude. Take a look at this. We actually got the retest on this chart, very nice, right? So we had the uptrend very strong there, and then when price broke through that level, right, we retested that trend line and then found confirmation, and sellers continued to push this market lower. Now we are coming into a really interesting level because we have this zone of support, which is pretty clearly defined, right? We have buyers right here shooting in, buyers shooting in, right? Pretty clearly defined. And now price testing that area to see if it will act bullish. If it does act bullish, where could we be headed? Well, we might want to test that trend line again, but we could also get aggressive and say that there might be a short-term kind of trend line to watch as well, right? So if you're a intraday trader, there might be some opportunities to be looking for that downtrend to break and continue that structure. Maybe looking for the breakout of this zone could lead to some nice trade setups. Euro yen is our next one here. You can see interesting because price is currently retesting this level that we've been talking about. My bias here initially would be bullish that we could see a bounce, but we will see if that can actually hold on euro yen. Let's see what our last one is pound Aussie. Still holding this upward trend structure that we've been talking about. You can see this supportive level still holding very nice. We actually caught a beautiful bounce here in the market updates. If you go back a few episodes, we talked about this idea of holding this trend line level very nicely and continuing, and the relative resistance points being like this one here, right? And of course, our recent high area. And it looks like we already tagged the first one, and it looks like we also might be wanting to retest this level here, right, that we just broke through, to see if we can get continuation up towards the top there. We'll see what we get there on pound Aussie. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you got something out of it. We'll see you back next time.